Hello, hello, hello. Hey, how's everybody doing? So glad to see you guys on. I'm so grateful and appreciative to each and every one of you. I'm so appreciative, like, honestly, when you can just start something and people are so supportive. I just want to say thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon to everyone. If you're watching this late in the or early in the morning or something like that, good morning or whenever time you're watching it. I want to say I appreciate you and thank you guys so much for watching. Um, this is Increase and we're here. This is just a weekly podcast and we're just gonna do what I believe is going to be revolutionary as you guys go on this journey with me. I believe honestly that we're going to do some great things together, and yeah, this is just amazing. So I appreciate each and every one of you who are on, um, and thank you guys so much who've been with me since the beginning. Today, again, we're kind of taking a little snapshot, so to speak, of a subject that you know we oftentimes don't talk about. Sorry about that. My I got my twins, so they're going to be kind of going in and out, but um, it's something I just wanted to again, just talk about, and that is kindness. And I really want to ask the question, like, what happened to kindness? Like, what happened to people just being kind? What happened to people being caring? What happened to people, you know, actually being genuine in the things that they do? Like, what happened to that? Hey, Evangelist, how are you? Like, I'm so glad that you're on. Thank you guys so much for sharing this. Again, it's just amazing to do something totally out of the out of ordinary, out of the unorthodox, so to speak. Um, Before we get even into our topic, and I'm kind of backtracking here for a little bit, but um, because this is Black History Month, I always try to highlight a Black history figure or African American figure that we oftentimes don't hear about. And this person, it comes in the person of Pamela McAllister Johnson. She was the first Black woman publisher of a mainstream paper on the Ithaca Journal on December the 10th, 1982. The paper has a circulation of about 20,000 and is a part of the Gannett chain. So she's a woman who, during that time, and you think, oh, that's not even that long ago. I mean, that's not even it's 39 years ago that she did this thing, and she was able to be something that oftentimes I know women hear it all the time that they're not capable of doing or they don't want to see a woman in that position. So I think it was very brave of her to be able to do it and to break, um, just break the mold in all of that. Hey, so glad you were on as well, Aisha. Thank you, guys. Thank you again. Um, so with that being said, our topic today is just going to be on kindness, right? And I'm really excited about it because I feel like, I don't hear it as much as I used to as a kid. Like back in the day, you always hear, or I would always hear, I'll put it that way, because everyone wasn't raised the same. But I always used to hear, you kill a person with kindness, you know, being great, gracious and forethought with people and really just going back to those traditional values that I guess right now we kind of overlook it and it's like a rarity, so to speak. But Oxford definition gives us a definition that I think is very prevalent right now, especially in today's society when everyone is kind of like trying to redefine themselves, and so much is happening wherein people are trying to just really correct some things that's going on in their life. And so the definition goes is the quality of being friendly, generous, and considerate. And I think that speaks volumes to so much that we deal with on a regular basis, right? Like when you look at it, and you kind of just like even look among your friends, right? Look among your friends, the people who you talk to on a daily basis or a weekly basis or whatever. Like really think about it. How friendly are they even toward you? Like sometimes we're friends with people who are very aggressive and like very abrasive. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if that's the dynamic of you guys' relationship or whatever, but you really start thinking about it, like if I really go through something, like can I really call on them and they be a kind of a person that will be understanding? Now, a person can be abrasive and still be caring, and even considerate. But you really start thinking about like this level of aggression. You start asking like, okay, like what is the real source of this thing? And then how healthy is that truly? Because if a person is really like aggressive in that area, then you also know that they're going to be aggressive in many other areas just the same. And so you're kind of just in that limbo, like you really want to make sure and really kind of look at it and begin to ask those questions like, all right, how generous are they? Or how generous am I? Or even considerate. And I think a lot of times we look at life and we look at individuals and we place them on this abstract scale wherein if they don't check off all the boxes, then we just don't deal with them anymore. And then we look at ourselves and we go, well, the only reason why I'm not like this is because of this. And the only reason why I'm not doing this is because of that. And that's a messed up way of thinking, because you give yourself a pass when you don't give other people a pass. It's like we don't want to repeat ourselves to people, but then not that we want other people to repeat themselves to us, but it's also wherein we want the instructions to be so simplified that even a toddler will understand it, though you're an adult. So you may not want someone to tell you more than once, but the way you want them to break it down to you is like a person who is unlearned. And it may be a false equivalent, but to me, it's like, mm, really? I don't know. But we got to get back to kindness. We got to get back to the place where, you know, or get to a place where we can look at a person and truly begin to get over our communication hurdles, whether it's skin color, whether it's the accent that a person has, whether it's, a plethora of things. Like, you're not going to find that person who is a duplicate of who you are, but that doesn't mean that you can't be kind towards them. And then here's the other thing too. And I'm learning this by way of observing and then listening to others that are around me. And that is, when you as you are healing, a lot of things that used to didn't make sense or you felt like you wasn't ready to do, you find yourself being able to do. I guess it's in a sense you've reached this level of maturity wherein you kind of look beyond the antics of a person and you really begin to go, okay, what's really going on? But also, do I really want to deal with all of that? And I think it's pretty cool to deal with that or to really explore those areas and really begin to um just say to yourself, like, I've really grown from that, or I remember doing stuff like this. Like the Bible says, to love your enemies and to do well towards those who try to like misuse you or mistreat you. And like back in the day, I really couldn't understand that to be able to implement it in my life. And then I began to think about the phrase, like I said, my grandmother and different other people have said over the years of, kill them with kindness. And you really didn't even understand that what was going on was their projection of how they were feeling. But also, I'm such in a great space mentally, spiritually, emotionally, that I could be generous towards you. I could be friendly towards you. It doesn't mean that we're close or that you're my friend, but that we're you're at a place wherein you can be around them and what they do doesn't affect you like that. Or does it doesn't bring you to a place where you're so miserable and uncomfortable that you don't even want to deal with them. I think when we look at society as a whole right now, everything is pulling not only our attention, but also pulling our heartstrings. And they're pulling it in such a way wherein you look up and you're like, well, nobody's worthy of me, because of what I bring to the table, and you know, all of this, that, and the third. And you're like, okay, you're bringing all this stuff, but you're alone because everybody that was around you didn't measure up to some application or some kind of criteria that you've created, that it's not even healthy. You don't give people room to fail, or to even have a problem. And so, in essence, even though they have toxic traits and things that is wrong with them, you in essence have become the toxic person that they need to stay away from, because you're so perfect within your own mind that you can't even be kind to a person who doesn't even recognize that you're loving them or trying to be caring toward them or whatever. So I think, a lot of times when we look at kindness, and people say, well, they're taking my kindness for weakness. It's like, since when did being friendly become a weakness? Or since when, being caring became a weakness? I always looked at it as being a strength. Even when it comes to any person who works in customer service, right? That's something that is a strength. That's not a weakness. So then you got to begin to ask the question, like, where did this phrase, taking my kindness for weakness, comes from? Could it be that we took ourselves to be weak because what we were doing was not being replicated to us? It wasn't being reciprocated toward us. And so sometimes you have to teach people how to be a better human being by just living, by you showing kindness toward people, being generous, being kind, being loving towards them, or being gracious toward them. You in essence begin to alter their behavior, because when you are solid in who you are, then that pushes them to go, either I'm going to change or I have to go, because they're not going to change. They're going to be who they are. And I guess in a sense, this is really what it's all about: being solid in who you are, being genuine in who you are, like not allowing the negativities of this world, or the way people think, persuade you or move you from being who you are. Because as Gandhi said, you need to be the change that you want to see in the world. So if I'm going to be the change, then that must mean that I must already possess those characteristics. And now I'm expressing them, and I'm just walking in it. You're not making excuses or watering down or trying to change who you are to fit in a place wherein you're called to change. I liken it to this. If you're a business owner, right, you wouldn't walk into your boardroom and begin to act like you're the janitor in the office coming in to clean. You're going to walk in there the way you are, which is the owner, which is the leader, which is the person who is in charge. And so you are in charge of who you are as a person. You're in charge of your feelings, your emotions, your destiny, whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to do. And everyone else is either playing a part in helping you get there, or a part of the demise of it. And so I think a lot of times we don't want to take possession of our life. And so we allow little things like taking my kindness for weakness to strip us of our power. Oh, Aisha, you're so right. She said we have to learn not to let people negative behavior dictate our behavior and reaction. I think that's great, especially because, again, when you begin to understand and learn, like marketing, for instance, and how what they show you, the images that they show you, in the way that they show it to you, it brings about certain kind of emotions. You know, I remember back in the day, there was this big debate that was created among Americans, that was which one was better, Pepsi or Coca-Cola. And people who were, were best of friends or whatever, drink whatever they wanted to drink and had no problem with it. But now the campaign was, which is better. Oh, and then they doubled down on it and did the blind taste test and so on and so forth. And you begin to see people begin to be pitted against each other. And though the marketing campaign was a success in that it got their name out there, it got people to discuss their product, it also was the spark, or it was an added spark to the detriment of many relationships that people didn't even realize it, because subconsciously they had never even considered it. And so I believe that as we begin to look at life and you begin to look at yourself, you can begin to determine, what certain influences in your life brought about certain changes in your life. And so sometimes it's not that we've gone through some kind of tragedy that caused us to stop being kind. Oftentimes it's those little subtleties, it's those little comparisons, those little competitions that you now begin to say, now is me against the world, or is me against whoever is around you. And it destroys relationships, it destroys self-esteem and confidence. It really begins to attack your very being, because you really wasn't prepared for it. I think a lot of times, even as we're cultivating our children, and we want them to have a healthy dose of competition, in a sense of, wanting to better themselves. But I think in the midst of all of that, we kind of put inside of them that they are to compete with everyone within a particular market that they're in, instead of just competing with themselves and being a better self. You know, have a competition, even within yourself, to be kinder today than you were yesterday, to treat your children better, or have a more solid conversation with them, being more friendly to people. You never know what people are going through, and though they have a smile on their face, um just your kind words or your friendly gesture of good morning, or good afternoon, or have a great day, can really begin to shift their life, because for them, they are invisible. And so I think we could tackle, as a people, we could tackle suicide in a different manner, without it taking, great sums of money, or some kind of, political influence, but just really as neighbors, or as coworkers, friends, or family, just really beginning to notice the patterns within people, and just beginning to just share, hey, the farmers market is open today. You know, I'm going that way. Do you want to go? Something very simple and friendly. You know, um, even to the fact of, now, there's a meme that was on Facebook. Hey, and there's a meme on Facebook, and the meme shows someone shoveled off their snow on their steps on one side, and left the other side, how it is. And to some, they say, well, listen, it's not mine. They take care of theirs or whatever. But have you ever thought about the fact that maybe the person who is next door is sick, and or they don't have a shovel, you know, or whatever, or they're not even physically able to remove the snow. There's so many factors in that. But then you also look at it, you know, and I've heard about this, and I've seen it to some degree, where the community took care of each other and they made sure that each other had, what is needed. And I believe that's what turns a neighborhood into a community, is wherein people are caring toward each other, and they see a need, they feel that need, and it's not wherein they're waiting on someone to take a picture and video it and all of this stuff, but they just do it because it needs to be done, or that they see their fellow human being needs assistance in whatever manner. I think that we need to capitalize and begin to make greater being kind toward each other. Being, because here's the thing, in some manner or form, many of us are struggling with something, you know, within a block, of houses. 4 out of the 5 are one paycheck away from being homeless. So it's not like you are greater than the other person, no matter what they drive. That doesn't mean that they're up to date, or they're current on their bills or anything, or that their business or the job that they're working is going to be there forever. So why not be kind? Why not be kind to the stranger, or to even family members who you may not even rock with like that. You may not even like them like that, but just being kind and friendly toward them, being generous towards them, being considerate. Like, I think about that a lot, especially as I get older, and I'm like, man, there's so many people who are inconsiderate. They don't think about what they're doing, how it affects other people. It's always about how it makes them feel, and how you know their agenda is more so important than anyone else's. When you realize that we're all connected, interconnected together, no matter the race, no matter the religion, no matter, we're interconnected in some shape, form, or fashion. We all have hunger. We all get thirsty. We all want to be loved. We all want to be cared, and we all want to be appreciated. We all want to know that we're on someone's mind. We all want to be in that place where you're not feeling lonely. We all want to laugh at some point. And so why not be kind? Why not be considerate, and really just open up ourselves? I think we as a people could dispel a lot of things that is taking place. You're right. It is selfish. It's truly a disease that has taken over. Um, that just should not even be. It's not even something that is even proud of. I tell people, I tell people, they look at me and they're like, we could tell where you're from because of how certain ways you act, and I began to attribute it to not only just how I was raised from my parents, or cultivated from my parents, but more so what I also saw from other people, that it doesn't take much to just be kind to other person, to really just be considerate. You know, if there's a elderly person or someone who's pregnant, or whatever, you want to have this seat, you got to sit down. I've been sitting down. I'm good. I can stand up. It's fine. But people are like, hey, they got legs like I got legs. They should have came early or whatever. And it's truly tragic to be around people who are really unkind. It breeds a level of sadness, and a level of, like, it's almost like their character really did take a huge loss when you're around people who are unkind. And it also speaks to the quality of life that a person has. When you are kind, kindness also brings about happiness, because when you're kind towards people, even though everyone is not appreciative of your kindness, it brings about a level of happiness towards yourself, wherein you're like, listen, if you don't like it, it's okay. I'm happy with who I am, and I'm happy that I was able to do it, even if you're not appreciative of it. And so I think a lot of times, for those who are looking for happiness, really begin to up your kindness. You find yourself, being sad or whatever, begin to open up yourself to being kind. You know, there's always those levels wherein you feel like someone is trying to use you, or make you into a doormat. But I believe when you begin to really look at it, if when you start feeling that way, ask yourself, what are my motives? What was my reason for really doing it? Like, am I trying to get attention unknowingly, or like, am I looking for them? Hang on a second. I'm sorry, they playing around or whatever. But I truly believe like when you do things and you start feeling that way, begin to ask yourself like, okay, am I doing this for like my ego and pride's sake, or is this something that's really happening? Like someone is really trying to hurt me. Someone is really trying to, do something negative. And even in that, then you kind of got to look at it and go, okay, something going on with them. It's not me. It's never a personal matter. When we stop taking everything so personally and really begin to look at it and go, I'm a solid person. My quality that I bring or that I am, um, it causes me to do things that other people may or may not want to do. But I'm not gonna change who I am because they don't appreciate it. That's cool. You do your thing. But me, I'm going to be the best person that I can be. I'm going to do everything that I know possible so that at the end of the day, I can look back over my day, my week, my year, and go, you know what? It was all right. I had a blast. There were some moments where I was upset, or there were moments when things happened, but out and out, all in all, everything was good. And I believe that's truly what what we really should be striving for being better, striving for that level of maturity in our character and in our quality, that we can just love people with kindness, like just kill them with kindness. I mean, people will get messed up when they look at the fact that that they can't disrupt your day, that they can't stop you from being who you are. They're like they're like the greats when he goes, they're relentless. It's like I'm just relentless in being who I am. I'm relentless in being happy. I'm relentless in being loving. I'm relentless in everything that I do. Like it's so on purpose that you can't mistake it. You can't deny it. Like that's how relentless I am. I'm so relentless at being better. Even at this podcast, I'm relentless in looking at ways to not just automate things so that it could be easier, but I'm also looking at ways of being better, bringing content that is helpful and informational to you, but and to me as well, but also that we can grow a community of people who are rising above the societal norms and really beginning to bring impact that money can't buy. Money can't buy kindness. Money can't buy being loving. Money cannot buy, being a genuine person. It's either you are or you're not. It's either you're gonna work on those things that you have adopted in your life to stop you or to hinder you, but money can't buy those things. Influence and being around certain people will begin to give you those key steps and show you what it looks like. But but for the most part, or for any part for that matter, you money can't buy those things. And so I believe that as a people, we really truly need to work on just being kind, just really looking at our fellow human beings, fellow man, woman, child, whatever, and going, you're more valuable than an animal, or you're more valuable than the things that I have. As you know, as I was even thinking about this, I was thinking about how I've seen people be so very kind toward animals and be so mean and hateful toward people. And I'm like, wow, that's really unfortunate that these things are like that. And so it kind of puts you in the place of, that do I want to be around them, but what brought them to this place? Like I need to they need to really evaluate life, because human interaction is something that even though pets can bring comfort and peace and love and all of that stuff, there's nothing like being around an actual person and they express emotions and expressions and everything like you would. They can talk back to you and bounce not only ideas but also a different perspective on something that you may have said. I think if we increased our kindness, we would see more acts of being helpful in our community, and we wouldn't need all of these different companies and stuff to capitalize on just being friendly or being neighborly, being considerate or being loving. I think that if we continue to go down this path that we're on, we won't have to worry about nuclear war or gun violence or anything like that. We would destroy ourselves by disassociating with each other. That we would bring such a separation between each other that we would kill off our own selves. And I don't think that that is something that is healthy. I don't think that's something that is good. So I just wanted to kind of put that bug in your ear. Let's think about that. You know, what happened to kindness? What happened to being kind? What happened to just being considerate, loving, gentle? What happened to giving a hug and it's not being sexual or it's not, being wherein you're like trying to brag on who you know or whatever, who you're connected to? What happened to just that uniqueness of camaraderie and relationship? Because I believe that even in kindness has a level of relationship wherein it's not so much as you and the other person, but you and yourself. Like you're complete in certain areas in your life wherein you can just do it and be it, and it's just what it is. I don't know. Y'all let me know in the comment section. Let me know what you think about that. Let me know what you're thinking because I could be wrong. I don't know. Or I could be onto something and we really just need to explore it more. Maybe, just maybe, if we could get 10,000 people to do a random act of kindness, that maybe we could begin to start something like grassroots that would be perpetual, that it would gain some momentum in households and and really begin to change lives, because that's really what it's all about. It's really about changing lives and touching areas that we've kind of just abandoned. It's like having a house and never cutting the grass. The house is still valuable, the land is still valuable, but it will look so much better with the grass cut. I think a lot of with us as people, you know, you have the financial security, you have the love of your life, the children, all of those different things. But you look so much better when you're kind. You look so like your things are so much better when you are genuine in what you're doing. And I think that the more that we do those things and the more we begin to spread that message, because right now social media has us where we're taking snapshots of people and then we're judging them off of a snapshot, and then we're judging them based on our limited information and a 0 to maybe 5% chance of caring how what we say affect not only others but even the person that we talk about. Social media has given a voice to people who would normally never open their mouth to say anything about another person, certainly not to their face. And so it's pushed being kind to the back burner. It's pushed us looking at people who may dress different, who may talk different, and just appreciating them for their difference, appreciating them for their uniqueness, really looking at who they are more so than what they bring to the table, really engaging in a meaningful conversation that doesn't require you to meet some prerequisites in order for me to take what you say and begin to consider it beyond just saying, oh, this is just foolish talk, but really beginning to look at it and allow it to kind of mull over in your head. Well, maybe I should do something different, or maybe I should look this up because this is something that may not benefit me, but it benefits somebody that I may know, or that I have never even encountered. Um, Back in the second grade, I really dealt with dyslexia, and it's gonna go to kindness in a second. And I dealt with it. I would either see the letter inverted upside down, or it wouldn't be there, or words wouldn't be there, and so I struggled really badly with reading. And there was a teacher. She did chapter one reading, and her name was Miss Charlie. She was a black lady. Um, to me, she was beautiful. She had on, gold rings and necklaces and everything. One of the sweetest people you would ever meet. And she was teaching me to read. And so we got to a point where she would tell me, you know, what you're reading, don't just read it just so that you can say that you read a book, but really try to understand what the author is saying. And her level of kindness and attention to the way that I would learn allowed me to really take what I learned from her and just spread it throughout my life. And so she also gave me the understanding that whatever I read, no one could ever take it away from me. And then some of the other things that she shared with me that I begin to really understand now is that she said, whatever you read, you may not need it now, but you'll need it later. And so I think that a lot of times when it comes to our life, we think because we're kind to someone today that they should now return it to us without ever understanding that you're building up um a characteristic or character trait within you that will carry you no matter who you are around, whether you're dealing with the person who has deemed themselves or deemed you an enemy to them. It doesn't matter what they feel about you, as in them saying that you are an enemy to them, because of who you are and how solid you are within yourself. You treat people with a level of kindness no matter what. Even though you handle them differently, you may not share information so freely, but it doesn't mean that you wouldn't open the door for them, or that you wouldn't make sure that, oh, if they're, you hear their stomach growling, hey, you want something to eat? I'm not gonna let you starve, even though you may not like me. Why would I let you starve? I don't want to miss my blessing because of the feeling of someone else towards me. I think a lot of times we miss that just because a person doesn't like you or doesn't agree with you, that now all of a sudden that cuts off everything. And so you may miss your blessing just by doing that. I think the word of God even says that they keep coals upon themselves. You just be kind towards them. How often are you going to see them again? How often will that opportunity show up? Even your greatest enemy, by showing kindness towards them, can win them over. I think a lot of times we don't really look at how powerful love and how powerful kindness truly is. How with those subtle acts can begin to change a person who is walking in bitterness or who is dealing with whatever, can pull them out of it. But I wanted to put that thought into your head as you start your week out. Look for opportunities to be kind. Look for opportunities just to be a blessing to people. You never know exactly what they could be going through, and that whatever you have done could have revolutionized their thought process, not only about themselves, but also even about you, especially to those who are who are Christian. It's bad to be around a Christian who is unkind. That's that's a whole different subject and whole different conversation. But I think that a lot of times we don't also understand how quickly we can change the culture in which we live in, because it doesn't really take long. What it takes is momentum. The power of compound interest isn't just with money. It's also with kindness, with love, with so many other things. We can change the culture of what's around us by way of just continuously being who we are, and then other people picking up that same thing. When I worked for a company in Alabama, one of the things that one of the managers said is that you have a way of changing the culture of the people around you. And he began to share with me. He was like, just because of the way you start dressing, other people begin to change the way that they dress. I said, yeah, because it wasn't just them seeing it, but I began to tell them why. We would have a conversation, and I would purposely tell them why I changed the way that I dress. Because the way that I dressed was so that I could look the part that I desired. And then when I got the part that I desired, or the thing that I desired, I continued to dress this so that it would be a mental reminder of not only where I am and what I've achieved, but there's another level that I want to go to. And so I got to continuously work on this. And so I believe that if we begin to be kind towards other individuals, even being kind towards yourself, and you begin to not only allow people to see it, but you begin to talk about it. When you say, hey, when you're talking to your friends or whatever, begin to challenge them to be kind. When you're talking to your relatives, begin to challenge them to be more kind, to be more generous, to be more loving. Watch how things begin to change even around you, because they know no matter what you talk about and you laugh about, at the end of the day, it's going to fall back to being kind towards someone else, or being loving towards someone else. All the way. And what you're doing is you're conditioning them to get better. You're conditioning them to do something different, to begin to think about their actions and what they've been doing, and to begin to make necessary changes in their life. So it's not that they need to see it, they also need to hear it. There are three ways, and possibly even more, that people learn a behavior. They see it, they do it, then they also have to be challenged in both of those areas. So they hear it, they see it, they do it. Then the fourth is the challenge to implement all three into their life. They got to begin to replicate what they've seen, what they've heard, and what they've done. And the more they begin to do it, the easier it begins to come. And then they themselves begin to replicate it in other people. So you look at children who are kind and who are loving, you look at their parents and what they do. And those moments when frustration, or moments of nothing is going on, they're putting in them, or they're displaying in front of them, and they're hearing things that is putting character traits inside of them to be loving, caring, so on and so forth. It's no different than people who learn how to do things that are not legal. They learned it, they saw it, they heard it, they begin to replicate it. Oh, that is true. They told us that at the call center where I was working, don't come dressed down, dress business casual. People can hear it in your voice. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. That is true. Whether I did direct sales, which is door to door, or whether I was doing sales over the phone, when you smile over the phone, people can hear it. When you are genuinely happy, people can hear it over the phone. And so most definitely you're absolutely correct. in that. And I think again, the more we can change culture and not need social media, not have the radio, anything, just by organic word of mouth and by seeing it. Because here's the thing, when you're walking in the business or whatever, or you're, in church or doing some other things, you're not always 24/7 glued to your phone. You can look at your phone and see your screen time. And so that there are times in moments when you're not on your phone, and you really are having that human interaction. And when we have those kind of interactions, we got to begin to just express that kindness toward them. Begin to be genuine in your conversation. Put your phone down and just begin to talk to them or whatever. Just giving them a few moments of your time to really validate what the conversation is, and then just begin to show that generosity and love towards them. We have more power than what we are shown in television and in movies. The problem is that we give it away without realizing it, and we give it away because we figure like it's easier to do that than to actually be kind or to be in the moment or whatever, not realizing it's so much easier to just be kind. It becomes like breathing. It truly will be an out of mind experience, but it takes conscious thought in a lot of ways to be unkind. It takes that conscious whatever to really go, I don't want to do this for this person or whatever, or to be angry with the person. And so we got to change we got to change that stuff. We got to begin to work on that. We got to work on just being genuine human beings. So thank you again for just being with me on Increase. Share this with your friends or family. We're live right now, even on YouTube. We're live right here on Facebook. And it's truly an honor and a privilege to have each and every one of you who are on. And I hope that something was said that is, that's going to really, you may not agree with it, but at least consider it. And while you're considering it, do a random act of kindness. Until Friday, when we be back here again at 1 o'clock. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you then.